Hello, dear friends. Here we are, 40 Nights with the Promised Consoler. This is day 10. And today we're talking about the unfinished dissertation. These encounters are all about recalling the passages of the Master. Opportunities for us to dive into ourselves and find out more about what we're doing in this life, in this incarnation. New tools that we need to acquire to succeed in this reincarnation. To go through the tests and trials of this life with strength and focused on the guide and model that God has given us, Jesus. Through the signs of the spirits, we have come to know unprecedented passages that can bring great illumination to you and I. And that's why we're here in the last hour of the day, in our time zone, of course, and inviting all of us to these deeper reflections that can certainly strengthen us to proceed without stopping or quitting ever. Because life is worth its investment, an investment of love, beginning with the love for God, loving one another as we love ourselves. Today we're going to be studying actually chapter 33 of the book Pontos e Contos. Our dear mentor Joseph kindly asked us to make a change, and today instead of chapter 22 we're going to be studying chapter 33. And only he knows the reasons why, but you'll be delighted by this passage, chapter 33 of the book Pontos e Contos by Brother X or Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier. These are messages of profound invitation that you will certainly find new strength for your week, for your months ahead, for immortality. Let us not forget that Emmanuel in this book, Ceifa de Luz, yet to be in English too, he says in the end, at the very end of chapter 37, Spiritists, friends, let us attend to charity that brings us problems to the body, but let us not forget to help in the needs of the soul. Let us share the light of the Spiritist doctrine, and let us help one another to discern and to think. Yes, we need. As a neuroscientist, I understand even more why Emmanuel brought to us that call. Because discernment is not a given. This area, which is the prefrontal cortex area in human beings, is the ultimate area to be developed. It's the last area that it is developed when a new life happens. So when you look at a child, do not account for discernment. Not the discernment that we're talking about, because this area is the last one to mature. And believe it or not, neuroscience already proves that this area, the prefrontal cortex, gets to, let's say, significant mature levels by the age of 25. No wonder they redefined adolescence, ending at 25. Are you surprised? But there are people who grow much older than 25, and their discernment's not there yet. So here comes Spiritism to boost that development of that area as well, helping us to think and to discern, because without discernment, we cannot make wise choices. Good choices, healthy choices come with discernment. That's why we need the so-called awareness in Spiritism is the very light of discernment. Before I read the text and we talk about it, let us rejoice in the company of each other. We're in this beautiful intercontinental community here that is supporting one another with beautiful thoughts, beautiful feelings, beautiful words, and beautiful actions, shall we? Hello, Rihanna, South Africa. How are you, my friend, and your family? It's good to have you here. Dear Melissa, how are you? Valeria, here we are, right, Valeria? It's good to have you here, Valeria. Hello, Danny and Erica. Big kiss to you guys as well. Lea Severo, it's good to have you here, my friend. It's great to be together, right? Sunshine, hello, Sunshine, California. Sabine Beck, how are you in the beautiful group? Nevada County, right? Let everyone know that Sabine Beck is taking the lead of this beautiful group that is studying Spiritism in Nevada County, California. Am I right? Sunshine, you have a Facebook page. Share with everyone, please, so we can share the good news. Hello, Andrea, dear Andrea. Don't stay too late, okay? Hello, Rosemary. How are you? Oh, yeah. Fraternity Without Borders. Here we are. They're doing fantastic works. Fantastic works. It's just so beautiful, right? And Constance, welcome, welcome, dear friend. It's a blessing to begin a new week together. Hello, Katia, beautiful heart. Adilson, how are you, my friend? And Iara, our beautiful mom. Thank you, Yara, for being here. Angelita, beautiful Angelita. Patricia and Tiago, it's great to have you here, friends. Shall we? Spiritism in Nevada County. You see, it's growing. We have more and more people taking the lead, sharing the good news. And remember, we're here to help people who are in need. That's our focus. Mentor Joseph always tells me, Vanessa, don't waste your time with those who are healthy. Focus on those who are sick, and you always recharge yourself. Those who think they're well, those who think they're doing fine, bless, but move forward, observe the ones who are in need of help, and go for it. And that's why we're here. We're sharing this because you and I need it, and we need to share the good news so people don't forget why. God grant us this beautiful master, the master that to date is still telling us, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Right? Chapter 33, the unfinished dissertation. Be prepared, because this chapter is quite deep, short, deep, but surprising at the end. You'll be surprised. Humberto de Campos describes, after a certain preaching of Jesus in Capernaum, the master met at Peter's house 4 gentlemen of fulgent appearance. They awaited his word. Like we do. It feels like water in the desert of our hearts. The word of Jesus. These 4 gentlemen were also looking forward to that. They came from afar. They explained to Jesus attentively. They were prestigious Jews from Phoenicia who lived in Sidon. They had already absorbed the Egyptian and Greek culture as much as the Persian and the Babylonian philosophy. The announcement of the good news had reached their ears. They wanted to serve in the ranks of the new kingdom, fighting the licentiousness of manners, the avarice of the rich, and the revolt of the poor. They accepted the one God and intended to consecrate their lives to Him. From time to time, the newcomers rectified the folds of the impeccable linen flannel tunics, or lightly accentuating the care of the sandals. The Lord heard the information with admirable benevolence. Let us observe the body language of Jesus. Let us not forget that Jesus knows us deeper than we know ourselves. He is fully aware of who we are at this moment and the potential we are to unfold. And yet, He was benevolent. And you see why I'm highlighting this? Because of the end of the story. Observe it. He was benevolent. Let us recall in the book, The Spirit's Book by Kardec, the definition of charity. It begins with goodwill towards everyone, benevolence. Volens means will. Bene, good. Bene, volens, good will towards everyone, instinctively. If somebody sends you an email and you decide not to reply for whatever reason, it doesn't match this. Have you heard of Jesus turning His back to anybody for whatever reason? No. So let us be very attentive. If people write to us, if they call us, if they come to us, they ask a question, they say something, it doesn't mean we're going to reply saying what they expect us to say. But we're going to have goodwill towards them, knowing that we are instruments of God. And nothing that comes our way is personal. It's their own agenda. And as these four gentlemen, they had their own agenda. In spite of it all, Jesus opened His heart with admirable benevolence. So let us observe, He is our guide and model. The Lord heard the information with extreme levels of goodwill. How often do we listen to people in our lives with high levels of goodwill? Why don't we? Because we have our agenda too. And Jesus had no agenda. Because love doesn't have an agenda. Love does not have an agenda. Love loves. That's how it is. For Jesus, there was no agenda. That's why He was able to be there, open-hearted, good-willed. He was willing to understand and to know, to be a facilitator, to be a catalyst of the good. And you and I are being called tonight to refine this very feature inside of us. You and I can do it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Right? We can. He's the guide and model. And He's modeling and pointing the direction. He's saying, go. You can have goodwill towards everyone. If and only if you forget about your temporary agenda. Because we have temporary agendas. And remind yourself of your immortal purpose. You are co-creator. As a co-creator, we just allow the flow of God's love to go through us, and that's it. We forgive people's personal agenda, and we work on putting aside our personal agenda and allowing our cosmic agenda to take place. Love does not have an agenda, and Jesus had no agenda. Each of these four men, in their turn, they spoke of the anguish, of the social problems in the powerful city where they came from. After showing the need for political changes on the world scenario, they awaited the word of the Christ with curiosity. The Christ then kindly affirmed to them, now open ears. He kindly affirmed to them. Is this a message for us? Let's listen. They came with the anguishes of social problems. We do too. The need for political changes. Oh, please, Jesus, we need political changes, right? It's perfect for the current times. No matter where you're living in this world, it's very similar everywhere. We need political changes. But Christ kindly affirmed to them. It is written, this is Jesus. It is written, you shall love the Lord, our God and our Father, with all your heart, and you shall not make abominable images of him. I, however, add, escape the idolatry of your own desires, annihilate exclusivism, and do not put your trust in lies, because you would be offending the sublime divinity. So he's saying, the idolatry of our own desires. Isn't that what we do every day? We have our own agenda. For example, we go to a gathering, even when we do outreach activities. People forget that we are there to reach out to others. And we have our agenda. We don't forget about our issues, our daily lives, etc. And we forget about those who are in need. So we really need to help ourselves, like forgetting about our own desires. Where are we in the idolatry of our own desires? That's a major issue, because that puts us in our love for God very distant. Where do you think you are? Scale 0 to 10. Idolatry of your own desires versus the will of God. You think you are closer to understanding and aligning your will to God's will? Or you're still close to just idolizing, worshiping your own will? But I need this, but I need that, but I want this, I want that, I need this, I need that. And it's an idolatry. That's the first one. Then he says, Moses, let's not forget, this is Jesus saying, Moses recommends, you shall not take the name of the Almighty in vain. However, I say that no one should detract from the name of the neighbor in slander, calumny, in the useless or disloyal verb. Friends, who isn't guilty of this? But guilt doesn't help us. Remember the book Thought in Life? It doesn't help us. But we need to watch out. When in the 10 Commandments it says, we shall not name the Almighty in vain, it's about slandering. You know, when you're talking to somebody and you mention somebody's name and this person says, oh, but that person, they're strange, right? And you don't even know that person. From that moment on, you already have some hesitation. If they introduce you to that person, you already have some feelings against that person. Let us think about this. Slander, calumny, useless or disloyal verb. I tell you, the lesson today is deeper and deeper. 3. The Decalogue, which is the Ten Commandments, determines, you shall sanctify the Sabbath day. I, and this is Jesus saying, right? Exhort you, however, not to convert this article into an anchor of systematic idleness. Respecting the needed pattern of nature, do not turn the dissolving indolence into a hosanna, like people are doing nowadays. Facebook is fantastic because that we have a clear view of it. Instagram, Facebook, and everything. People go take their vacation and they spend weeks or days and days by the beach doing nothing. Meanwhile, people are dying, suffering, and we think, oh, but I deserve my break. Yes, you deserve your break, but one day you'll be begging the people who are taking their break are there helping you instead. Spending that money to help. Vanessa, does it mean we're not going to take vacation? Yes, we will. But we'll take reasonable vacations. And one, that we don't forget those who are in need. We can't forget those who are in need. We can't. We need to be more diligent in that regard. Right? The old text says, revere your father and your mother in the bonds of blood. However, it is imperative to recognize the need to respect all worthy individuals, wherever they may be, forgetting the frontiers of race, family, color, and religion in the name of the general good. Above all, the limits imposed by the blood on earth prevails the sacred imperatives of the universal family. So Jesus adds to the Ten Commandments, he says, yes, you honor your father and your mother, but don't forget that the universal family comes first. I know some people come to me and say, Vanessa, but you go places and take Virginia. Poor Virginia, she could be playing in the playground, etc. And I said, you know, she plays in the playground. But you know, the other day I saw a documentary, beautiful documentary, about places on the earth that are exquisite, getting to know more about our planet. And then this family who has 3 kids was traveling from South Europe to Northern Europe, to actually a Nordic location, to photograph the Aurora Borealis. And they brought their little kids to extreme temperatures just to take those pictures. So then I found it fascinating that for those reasons people think it's fine. But for charitable reasons, people don't think it's fine. So it's just that we forget the universal family. We forget. We think there are families are here for us to live for them alone, and we forget the other ones who apparently are not our family, but actually they are truly the same. So we need to ask ourselves tonight, you know, this message is very deep. To date, this is very, very difficult to listen to. Imagine more than 2,000 years ago. We are living at a right time, at a very time when people are talking about discrimination of immigrants, discrimination of different races, discrimination of families, religions. And Jesus talked about the solution to it all more than 2,000 years ago, and yet it becomes the ultimate frontier for our souls. The law of the past, says Jesus, the law of the past, Moses, states, thou shalt not kill. But I tell you, it is not to kill under any circumstance. It is indispensable to be vigilant over our impulses to oppress the lower beings of nature, because one day we will respond to the justice of the Supreme Creator for the lives we have consumed. What is he talking about? Is he talking about eating meat? That's gonna be homework for you and I, okay? We're gonna leave this as homework. Some passages here deserve more thought, so we can catch up tomorrow. The next one, the Venerable Testament asks, "You shall not commit adultery." I assure you, however, that adultery reaches not only the body of our sisters in humanity, but also the flesh and the soul of all men who have forgotten to walk righteously. And you know, as Jesus said in the book Good News, women are always sufferers, and men most often are weak. This is in a passage in the book Good News. These are Jesus' words. Probably that's one of the reasons why they crucified him too, because he was very much the truth. No wonder he said, right? I'm the pathway, right? The path, the truth. Yeah, the truth. The great legislator advises, "You shall not steal." I say to you, however, that one should not steal not only valuable objects and values in money, but neither can we steal the time of the Lord, nor distract the minutes of the applied servants from their works. Whew, Mamma mia. That's also a hot topic. Inner journey for us. He's giving a new concept of stealing. He's saying, steal the time of the Lord. What is it? Your time, my time. It's God's. Some people have been, but Vanessa, why using these last hours of the day for this? You know, time is not mine. It's a concession of God. So I need to learn how to use it. And the good spirits are teaching me, teaching all of us, to learn how to manage time in a different way, in a more useful way. Right? Hello, Josara. You're still in Brazil, but you're here. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, Josara. McCurfy Claire is here too. That's great, friends. But learning how to use time wisely, not stealing from God. How often we use poorly our time. So this is a good way to manage it. And also to distract the servants of the Lord. How often people say, Vanessa, should we ask Divaldo Franco about whether or not we should study this book instead of that book? And I say, friends, discernment tells that we can decide it for ourselves and not waste, the valuable minutes of this applied servant of the Lord, right? And of one another. We cannot do this, right? And this is just a minor example. But we need to teach our children to be diligent in that regard, to be compassionate by doing the same with us as parents, right? Sometimes they don't know the limits, and we teach them, now you need to stay here, and I am working on this here. But Mom, I want to be here with you. I say, look, right now, I need to do this, and you need to give me that space, to give me that time. Otherwise, they're going to grow into babies forever. The growth is only of the body. And Rita de Cassi is here. I saw you getting in, my dear friend Rita, but we're just starting. So, time is power of love, exactly. Happy to have you here, Jussara. Truly, truly. Truly, truly. And it is written in the old covenant, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. But I declare that it is imperative to keep goodwill when loving the heart, radiating them in thought. Jesus always goes steps ahead, friends, right? So he's saying, false witness against my neighbor. So, friends, I have been witnessing this. Sometimes I don't know somebody, and people come to me and say, Manis, what about this person? That person is this. The word they said, because I trust them, strikes on me. But then I asked Mentor Joseph, is that so? He says, you should use your own discernment to find out. Keep people's evaluation of others to themselves. But you need to grow mature, Vanessa. Only a child relies on somebody else's opinion. When we grow older, mature spiritually speaking, we need to find it out for our own selves. But you know, my friends, the problem is that sometimes the good workers of the Lord, because of the dissemination of false testimony, they have their pathway very much more difficult because of the people who came before and disseminated false testimony. And he's saying we need to keep goodwill and love in the heart. So that's what Mentor Joseph told me. Keep your goodwill towards that person. Do not be on the defense. You haven't met the person. And give the other one who gave their opinion the right. They are entitled to their opinion. But you shall find out for yourself. Right? And Fernando, hello Fernando, is kindly here saying, it is, pushes us towards our responsibility. Now, Jesus is telling the 4 gentlemen who came to Peter's home, willing to learn from the good news, and they said they knew it all. They had not only money but intellectual. And Jesus is saying the ancient revelation directs us to thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, nor desire his wife, nor his housekeeper, nor his ox, nor his donkey. But I assure you that it is our duty to seek light, good, and happiness, working without discouragement, and serving all without rest. Inaccessible to the poison of hatred, of envy, of jealousy, of spite, of discord, bears that are poisonous and bring darkness to the spirit. This is the commandment of all. He is saying that we shall what? Seek the truth, the good, feel the good. Feel, visualize it, mold it with all the resources we have. Seek the light, the good, and the happiness, working without discouragement and serving everyone without rest, which means right now you're not going to go to sleep, neither will I. No, we're joking. But inaccessible to the poison of hatred, envy, jealousy, spite, and discord. That's the commandment. Did we hear it? When we look at others and say, but they, Mamma mia, leave them alone. let them be what about us and what we have to do. The good student focuses on the teacher and on the lesson. That's why they sit on the front row. The first. The teacher and the lesson. The teacher and the lesson. Others, thank you very much. We're colleagues. I can help you, but I'm focused. The poor student is always looking at the one that is a good student, bullying them, trying to create being the mean boy, the mean girl, right? How much of us is the good student? Focus on the lesson. Know a personal agenda. Having goodwill towards all my friends. Right? Hello, José Eduardo Ciolim. Welcome, welcome. He's saying, give consent to reason. Exactly. And after Jesus said it all, you'll be surprised what happened. Remember, he's talking to 4 gentlemen in Peter's home. The master gave a little break in the preaching, noting that the visitors of Phoenicia were pale and confused. Are you guys pale and confused? Because if you are, don't shoot the messenger. Because Jesus is the one who said it, not me. He's the one. We're pale and confused. In the meantime, Peter's mother-in-law, she was behaving quite well here for the mother-in-law. Peter's mother-in-law requested Jesus' presence in a nearby room. And do you think Jesus said, no, not now? No. Jesus requested that the 4 gentlemen excuse him. And he promised to continue the new teachings in a few more minutes. But when he quickly returned to those who were listening to him, Jesus saw the consultants, the 4 men, moving his lucid and tender eyes around the room. But in the silent room, there was no one. Well, at least we have some of us here, right? Hello, Tanya. How are you feeling? Is this surprising or what? Only the Spirit is teaching. What a message. What a message. So striking. No wonder you may share these things with people and they're like, stop this blah, blah, blah in my ears. These men, they didn't want to listen any longer. They're like, out of here. But let us observe. Jesus was good-willed. He spent time sharing every little detail. When the mother-in-law requested him a nearby, this is the master of kindness. The mother-in-law, at a time in which women didn't have that much, influence over men at all, And she came and said, can you please come here? And he said, excuse me, please. And he left. He didn't say, now. Don't you see this is important? I'm talking about God and the laws of life. Jesus is an unprecedented master. He listens. And I want to share this with you, with the permission of Mentor Joseph. Because he has become the greatest advocate that I know of a new parenting style. He says nowadays, even us in the Spiritist movement, we haven't let the children come yet. Because we think they are a bother. They should always be aside. If we're talking about important things, we think the conversation our children may have with us is not important. And not even the mother-in-law is dismissed at this very time. Let us contextualize this. This is a conversation of 4 men who had their influence. They came from far away. And Jesus stopped. Of course, there was an educational insight over there, but he also attended to the request of the woman, came back. He was looking around, says the description, moving his lucid and tender eyes. Love doesn't have an agenda. Was he upset? No. Because as he said to Peter once, when we love, we do not demand. He repeated to Bartholomew, love does not demand. Love transforms. And because love does not have an agenda, love just loves. He kept loving all these 4 men and all of us. And he will explain this to us as many times as needed, for as long as we need to hear this repeatedly until we learn the lesson. A good educator. I am speechless too. I read this many times, but every time I read, I'm surprised. What is the homework for us? What is the homework for us in this lesson? To practice the next 24 hours. Homework. Learn how to put our personal agenda aside. Let us put it aside and focus on love. Shall we? Are we gonna sing? Yeah, because love doesn't have an agenda. We're gonna wrap up recalling. All we need is love, love. All we need is love. Love is all we need. Until tomorrow, God willing, let us practice, meditate, open our hearts. A kiss and a hug.